life and, what does it all mean and the universe and everything like this. Yes, that would be a category of very, very great mysteries. And then someone who's great in that category, let's say known to be great, a man named Ramana Maharshi, says to us, there is no greater mystery, no greater mystery. So you would imagine that he had seen through and seen the truth about many mysteries in this life. Yeah, yeah. And he's saying there is no greater mystery. Okay, so that basically puts an end to mystery in a way. Yeah. And then this greatest mystery than this, that being the reality ourselves, we seek to gain reality. That's really the conundrum and the release of non-duality. The assumption of non-duality is you are what you're looking for, not based on a later date after you fulfill a lot of requirements, because the one who's waiting to get it on a later date is not us. Yes. So what you are is what you're looking for. What's looking right now is what you're looking for. That would be being ourselves reality. Now, we're not doing ourselves reality. We haven't become ourselves reality, and we haven't lost being reality and have to regain it. It's a present tense condition. Yeah. And there is only a present tense condition. The past and future are imaginary and are made up in a way. Yeah. To further a certain crazy idea, the idea of you as a long lasting, independent, separate entity. For you to be feeling like you're you now, you have to be remembered. Yeah. You're remembered in the past, and you're also remembered in the future. When you're being when the entertaining is being when there's an entertaining of the future, it's a form of remembering you now. Yeah, just like remembering in the past is a form of remembering you now. So it was obvious that in the head's scheme, I was Paul, I will be Paul, therefore I am Paul. Yeah. And what happens now, most people have no real true recognition that they're an individual entity, but they feel like one. Yeah. They have a sense of individuality. And we would believe the only way you could have a sense of individuality is to be an individual. Yes. The mental logic says, if there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah. So let's say there's a sense of individuality, and that sense is enough to have the conviction that you are a historical thing. Yes. Yeah. And there's a great line in one of the little pamphlets you could get in India when you went to Tiruvannamalai or whatever, from the Ramana Maharshi ashram. And one of them, well, they're just so cool, a lot of them. I lost it already, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, he was having a discussion with a lot of people, and they asked a question, one of them that's asked quite a lot in these circles, spiritual circles, which is there predetermination or is there free will? And then they were slicker. They said, is there free will in the predetermination? Yeah. So this was the question. And the person who asked it obviously was expecting to get an answer about that, but he completely bypassed that, Ramana, and said, if there's a sense of individuality, there will be a sense of free will. Yeah. So that which is based on a sense of individuality is that which is asking the question, is there free will? Yeah. But the free will doesn't matter. It's really just a component of the sense of individuality. Because if this wasn't your life, whose would it be anyway? I mean, if you weren't the doer of all this shit, whose life would it be? Yeah. There's a sense of ownership through the ER, the doer, the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster that you don't get with tasting, feeling, seeing, hearing, and smelling. You don't get it. Those are verbs. Those are actions that are happening seemingly without any cause or any cause that we can see. But the idea of being the doer is a noun. Yeah. Yes. And so that is the galvanization of a sense of individuality. And then that sense of individuality is protected by going on wild goose chases about free will and predetermination. Because what's really not being addressed is the sense of individuality. And the belief that a sense of individuality is evidence there's an individual doesn't have to be so. The head can make up a sense of individuality. A hypnotist can put you in a trance and you think you're a chicken. Yeah, you're walking around, pecking things. Yes. I mean, that's how easy it is. So there's a sense of individuality. Yeah. So if there is, which he's basically saying it is, this is what the head produces, is a sense of individuality, there will also be the sense of free will. And of course, a way of disguising the source, which is the sense of individuality, will get occupied by the other stuff, like is there free will and predetermination? Yes, it's a way of disguising the real component or the real seeming mistake, which is the sense of individuality. Yeah, so he says here, there is no greater mystery than this, that being the reality ourselves, we seek to gain reality. Yeah. We think, obviously, that there is something binding our reality and that it must be destroyed. You may not feel it, but there's a thinking of it quite a lot. So the head is using what it uses, which is the thinking, to produce a condition that there's an obstacle keeping you from what you already are. Yes? Yeah. So if you buy that, it's a verification that you're not what you already are, obviously. So now you're looking for what you really are, and you're using what you really are to look for it. This is the conundrum that non-duality doesn't give you a way of undoing that pretzel, but you see it from not the pretzel. Yeah. You see the contortion of the head. You don't try to straighten it out. You just see it. It tells you a lot as it's appearing. The pretzel is a very incredible amount of information. You don't want to straighten it out or try to, because that's part of the pretzel. Yeah, is you trying to fucking straighten the pretzel out. You just see it. You see how the head works through memory, because when you're remembered as a body. Yes. No one remembers themselves as a spirit. No one remembers themselves through memory as reality. No one. In the dreaming, yeah, or in your daydreaming, your pictures, there's bodies. Everything is embodied. You see things. Yes? Yes? Yes. Do you go out to do that? Do you make a statement being completely in a void? I'm going to dream of things. No. Things dream of things. The idea of being a thing dreams of things. Yes? Yeah. So there is no greater mystery than this. So that's it, man. You admit, I admit, I don't know that much. I'm defined by a pay scale, and I'm not up on the higher levels of the 18th dimension or whatever. When they look at, uh, you know, the top 15 spiritual people, Raman is usually at least in the top three. So I'm going to put my reliance on that. And he's saying, there is no greater mystery than this. All right, well, maybe I should pay a little attention to it. I would imagine that when he says the problem, greatest mystery, it's meant to be like in the big book of AA, things are italicized to get your attention. Yeah. So this, when it says the problem, I would listen, because there can be descriptions of tons of problems, but very rarely do you get a clear description of the problem. Yeah. The problem that it issues all these other problems. Yeah. Yeah. The greatest mystery that uh, is beyond any other mystery. Well, yes. So to have that mystery solved may solve a lot of other shit without trying to solve the other shit, because this is the greatest mystery that probably has a connection to all the other mysteries. And this is the greatest one. So let's go there. It's like we used to describe situation here where it's like a rope. And let's say you're having trouble having a viable relation with another human being, and there's an attraction as an action figure to do that. And so you have a knot there, and you have a knot of, let's say, being intimate with your emotions or this or that, yeah. And so you try to work on those knots, yeah. And you would hope, well, if that knot gets loosened, maybe it will loosen the other knots, but it usually doesn't, yes. And it usually re-knots, yes. So at the controlled, cloistered, emotional intimacy with other event, you can do it. But as soon as you leave and go back home, it seems to be knotted again. Yeah. So what would happen if you would go down the rope and see the first knot? Yeah. Maybe the first knot has a lot to do with the other knots. And I feel when that first knot loosens, it will loosen the other knots. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily have to, but it could. Yeah. And so because there's a thread through that knot that goes through all the other knots. Yeah. Yeah. So this is sort of like that, the greatest mystery. Yeah. The greatest mystery is reality, ourselves, wanting to attain reality. Why would you want to go anywhere else? Yeah. Doesn't this stop a lot? If the statement that they're presenting is we are what we're looking for, uh, let's check out the looking for it. Yeah. Because if what we are is what we're looking for, then what we're looking for, how we're looking for it must be what we're not. Yeah. Because being reality ourselves, we would not be looking for reality if that was clear. So we must be clear, unclear about something that has us using reality to look for reality. This is the negation of an assumption, not an affirmation of anything. Because the thing that's we would like to affirm is constantly affirming itself. It's being ourselves reality, constantly affirming itself. Yeah. What we need here is a negation of the assumption that we're something else. Because that something else, if it's taking itself to be a reality, it's a rather small one. And it's trying to get an answer for all those small reality problems by finding a greater reality. Yes? Not knowing or not willing to know that it is what it's looking for. And this is the message of non-duality. It's instead of the seeker, yeah, and then the topic of and then the act of seeking, and then the sought, yeah. And so the seeker always remains the same. The seeking may be varied. You try change different speeds, tempos. I'm going to do a lot. I'm not going to do anything, whatever. And then the sought can change. Yeah, you're seeking peace or understanding or transcendence or whatever. Yeah, but the the equation's pretty the same. There's a seeker, that's the real stable thing, which is the bogus thing. Then there's the seeking, yeah, and the seeking is one like one view, but it can take a lot of different appearances. Yeah, you can be seeking this way and that way, but the seeking is the same. And then the sort can change. And then a statement in the non-duality lexicon is the seeker is the sort. Beautiful, right? Compresses the whole thing. So here's the seeker seeking the sort, and then the sort, yeah, is the seeker, squishes all of the seeking out of there. Yeah, just negates it completely, and it negates the seeker. Yeah, so the seeker and seeking, and so you are the sought. And then when that becomes obvious, when it's not obvious to a lot of these mental activities, you can greet those activities as not you. Yeah. Don't waste any time trying to convince them because they're programmed. What you feel personal about isn't personal at all. And it has a limitation and it ain't going to get it. It's not. Just like we run into this in recovery, a great profound statement in recovery that was well earned, which is self cannot get out of self. So this sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity can't get out of the sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah. It doesn't get it. Now you can get it. It doesn't. Yeah. So when you see that self can't get out of self, and maybe you see you're not in self, you are what we would be called out of self. You are. And actually, it's your basic condition is out of self. Yeah. You believe you're in and out of a lot of things, but in this case, the fact is you're out. You're out of self. That is not the fact is not you're in self. You're out of it. Yeah. So the freedom is readily available because you're not in what you're trying to get out. You're not. So, but the head that's playing this game of self cannot get out of self. It can't. And I'm sure you've had tons of evidence that when you fail miserably, it just backs up and gets into a different vehicle, like spirituality, drugs, working hard. And as soon as it runs into itself, and it cannot get out of itself, it doesn't see that. Backs up and tries to get through it again, and on and on and on and on. So this was one of the biggest things that happened here is how much I took that is mechanical to be personal. The the amount of subtle ownership of a lot of mechanical shit was amazing. And when I finally started seeing what I was taking so personal as mechanical, and the first movement of the mental state, when it gets introduced to something through conscious contact, is to claim it. That's what it does. There's nothing that's out of its claiming. Whatever it's introduced to, high, low, good, bad, this, that, it doesn't matter. It claims it. So when there's seeing, it says there's a seer. When there's hearing, it says there's a hearer. When there's feeling, it says there's the feeler. When there's tasting, it's the taster. Smelling, it's the smeller. Doing, it's the doer. Winning, the winner. Losing, loser. Yes? Whatever occurs, which is brought about by conscious contact, not you, conscious contact. The conscious contact brings about an event, and that event is claimed. And I believe the claiming of the event is the fastest mental process. And I do not believe you being a product of a mental process, you can get before the mental process that made you as a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. I believe completely it is impossible for you to get out of you. Completely. Yeah, completely. I don't want to get it got better enough by the way of life of recovery. It is not a chariot of the gods. If you leave this atmosphere where it's made up, it disappears completely. There's yes, so yeah. So this is the seeker is the sought. Okay. Now what happens after that? Watch what keeps seeking. Because obviously, the seeking is logically based on that it doesn't believe it's the sought. Or it wouldn't be fucking seeking, obviously. Yes? So you get hit. Wow, the seeker is the sought, and then you watch, and now you see what you used to look from. Yeah. because you've been looking from a manufactured point that triangulated as his body, the sense of being an object, and the sense of being the subject in the object. Yes? That is a manufactured point. You see it from your nature, which is awareness or reality. So from reality, you see where you used to look for from everything. How you looked at everything was from where you were looking. And that was manufactured. You see it. Bamo. What? Yeah. There's a loss of interest in it immediately because most of the interest is based on it's you. And when that you is seen through, the interest and attention goes farther back than you can go. And you start seeing the you that cannot see the you. You see that, yeah? And it is destined to stay in the afterlife. It is a manufactured idea. It is not being itself reality. It's attempting to get to do this and do that. So here you are in sitting in the be still, and you see that what can't be still, and you recognize it as not you. And you recognize its nature is mostly mechanical. Yep. And it's defined not by AI, but by programming. This programming is not going to change. Not. It's not going to get it. It's not going to get that it can't get out of itself. It believes it can because it believes it's something else than what we call self. The one aspect of self believes it's different than the self that's been seen. And it believes it can get out of it. It can't. Yeah, this is the non-duality. It's the observed and the observer are neither of us. Neither of them are us. Yeah. So you see the one aspect of self and you see the other aspect of self as two sides of the same coin. What's observing what you call the self is selfing. Yes. Yeah. What's being used for the observation is awareness. So the awareness allows an observation, and then the observation point says it's aware, but it isn't. Yeah. Its seeing is coming from a bigger light. It's not coming through its eyes. It's coming from a bigger light. It's just directing that light through this little small point of self-centeredness, and now it sees everything in a dualistic manner, basically. There is no planet duality. There isn't. It's how we see things. Yeah. And we're looking through a bifocal lens. And so we see everything as this and that, yes and no, high, low, ba, ba, be, ba. Yeah. And then the ultimate dualism is really subject object where we're standing. It seems to be contained in a singularity called a body, but its activity is dualistic. You're a thought about or you're the thinker. So sometimes you're thinking about you as an object. Sometimes you're thinking as the thinker, which would be the subject. Yes. Switches constantly on and off, this or that. Yeah. It gets a sense of singularity because you look in a mirror and you see one thing. You see this body. Yeah. But you're of two. You are completely of two-ness. And what non-duality is not two. So you see the two-ness, and then you have the understanding, I'm not two. That's all. That's the beauty of this message. The beauty of the message is it's completely depending on what you truly are. Yeah. To see what you're not. It's not trying to beat what you're not into a condition where it can see what it is, because it can't. I don't care how many boot camps you go to, the spiritual, it's not going to fucking happen. Yeah, it's not. It can take 10 days of meditating 13 hours a day and regroup in about 2 hours after it leaves the temple when it goes to get some mango sticky rice. Yeah, completely. Yes, it's like you think you have to have such a controlled environment to think it's like sticking. As soon as you get out here, the adhesive is fucking goes back to its normal adhesion to the idea of being the doer, the thinker, the meditator, this and that. And that. Yes. It just reverts. You want to keep ripping it, and then what's the fucking point? Yeah. More isn't going to work, and less isn't going to work. It isn't. Yeah. If you're that which is working it, it ain't going to work. If it's to you that you're not, that's working all these levers, it's not going to work. That's the great news of the message. You're not going to get it. As that which you're constructed to be and remembered to be and thought about to be is your starting point. You are not near the before. And that starting point that's after cannot go to the before. It can only drag the before into the after. Yeah. And that means it has to be made up the before. Yeah. So this happened with me, well, not even with me, but there I was. And then there was a seeing of what I used to look from, where I used to look from. Seriously. It wasn't a big, long tutorial. It's very short. Yeah, because really the Course in Miracles captures it with lesson 7. You see only the past. You think only the past. You act only the past. You feel only the past. It's just a loop. Yeah, it is. You're regurgitating, you're rethinking, rehashing, refeeling, re. It's a, and it's all mechanical. Yeah. There's no, the sense of personalness is given to it. It doesn't exude that sense of personalness. It's nakedly a machine in a sense. It's mechanical. Yeah. The claiming happens as soon as the conscious contact occurs, the mental claiming. And I humbly believe it is a mental process. And I don't think there's any process that's going to beat it. Yeah. So if all the mental processes that we try to apply to it come after it, they're basically infected by it. Yeah. So there'll be a sense of self in all the processes to get out of self. There will be a sense that the self is doing it. I don't see how you're going to break that code. Just don't. So that was a very convincing, deflating, incredibly rejuvenating recognition. It's sort of like you want to hear it the way. So this mental activity is a process. Let's call it selfing. Yes. So this process of selfing doesn't lead to being a self or becoming a self. It says you already are one. Yeah. So it creates a history and makes a fact that's not true. But in the head, you already are a self. You are already a thing. You are a thing. And maybe if you want to be out of the thing, you have to think from being a thing. So usually it'll be the thing trying to get out of the thing, which is just more thingness. Yeah. So here's this process that claims whatever's happening. Let's say the first conscious contact without a specificity is seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Yeah. So you can see it in that. So the seeing triggers the mental process. This is the conscious contact. Seeing conscious contact triggers the mental process. The mental process says the seeing assures the fact that there's a seer. Yeah, okay. Hearing, hearer. So the hearer comes after the hearing. Yeah. To hear anything, the hearer is not essential. It's just made up. Yeah. To hear anything, the hearing is essential. The hearing is essential to hear something. The hearer isn't. Yes? But in the head, the hearer is much more emphasized than the hearing. You don't need 30,000 examples. The principle will be seen in one example. The head puts value in the noun at the expense of the verb. The seer becomes more important than the seeing. Yet there's no seer without seeing. but it becomes more important in the emphasis of the head. It does. It's just obvious. So there's a seer, hearer, feeler, taster, toucher. Yeah. And all of this is reinforcing and producing a sense of self, which secures the idea that there is the only way there could be a sense of self or an individual, there has to be an individual. So it's all made up. Yeah. And so now this process is faster than any process that you could try to get some relief from this process. So this process's main point, that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, gets injected into all the other processes. So you're trying to get out of it is the biggest in. You're trying to get out of it is the biggest in. Yeah. This is why when they say if you can need do nothing and you don't do anything, then you're freed from the past and the future of I was Paul and I will be Paul. And at this moment, you're relieved of that bondage of self. Yes? Yes. Because it needs all this shit to produce this sense. And the sense is what keeps you believing there's a thing that's exuding that sense. Yeah. And if you start going off the track, it'll just give you some pain in the body. And so all your attention and interest, and the head will use that to reinforce that you are definitely a thing. Look at how you reacted to the thing getting hurt. Yes? Yeah, yeah. So here, it just showed me a futility, and I was trying to do myself out of being the doer. You can't, that doesn't work. Yeah. And I remember that when I was first time I got introduced to the act of meditation, my head had me as a meditator before my ass hit the cushion. So all the meditating I did that week or whatever was being used to reinforce the idea of being the meditator, which was neutering the whole fucking point of the retreat. So the retreat was used to reinforce that which I wanted to be weakened by the retreat. And I thought, being caught in this mental logic, the only answer I had when there was a defeat was to do more, and then maybe make a vow and become a fucking monk or something. Somehow I've got to go all the way to get this relief because it seems not to be working. And I ran into a lot of people in Thailand who felt that, and then they left because they were Westerners, they left the monkhood in about a year. Because that didn't work. Yeah. So not saying it's not a beautiful life and shit. It can be. But if you're expecting it to get you out of something that you're not in, it's going to fail. And that's its great value. That's its great value that we're missing. The value of failure when it comes to being ourselves reality and all the actions that are trying to get to where we already are. Yeah. That's the only success in all that is the failure of it. And I think non-duality just opens up that possibility to see all of the activities are the emperor moving around with no clothes, trying to clothe itself. Yes. Yeah. So let me finish this. So there is no greater mystery than this, that being the reality ourselves, we seek to gain reality. So if you follow the mental logic, this is how it goes. We think that there is something binding our reality, obviously. Because when someone describes what the reality may be, it doesn't sound like my day. Yeah. Yeah. So something must be keeping reality away from me or somehow. Yeah. Hopefully it's you, but you find out that's not true. And that it must be destroyed. So this is what happens, because after a while, you're seen as the obstacle. And then the only way reality is going to be available for you is to be destroyed. You want to slow walk that motherfucker. You don't want to rush into the destruction of you. You want to be there to experience your own absence. So now it may take lifetimes. Can you imagine if you ordered a couch and the person told you that? You're getting the couch may take lifetimes. Stick with it. Call us every week. Yeah. But it may take a while. I found the head loves to become shit. It does. Because it never gets upset about the being of what it is. That's being completely disguised perfectly well while it's trying to become something else. Yeah. But when you're confronted with this message, it gets very, very uncomfortable because this message is the negation of all the ways it affirms itself by looking for itself. Yeah. Or looking for reality or this or that. Non-duality to me was the great negation, truly, of all that. To the point was I saw what I used to look for him all day. And then these things, the dominoes dropped, like the claiming, the mechanicalness of it. I do not believe it's AI. I don't think the body's gonna grow out of the body identification. I don't think this is gonna happen. It's all, yeah. So it goes here, before the reality is gained. So something must be destroyed before the reality is gained, and you have a strange suspicion it's you. So you're not really that excited about finding reality. Yeah, let's take it slowly. Yeah. Before the reality is gained, it is ridiculous. A day will dawn when we will ourselves laugh at our own efforts. Yeah. My dog is trying to kiss Greg for about 40 minutes. He's been shunned. The dog is relentless, though. He's trying to get a date with Greg. Uh, so again, I just love reading this. Yeah. It is ridiculous. A day will dawn when we ourselves will laugh at all our efforts. That which is on the day of laughter is also now. Yeah. Yeah. The only way you can really put off now is obsession with past and future, really. Yeah. So this is the other one. So it is false to speak of realization. What is there to realize? The real is as it is always. That's the given statement of non-duality. I think you'll find it. If you hear anyone sharing it, the underlying basis is the real is as it is always. Yes? So nothing's disturbing it, nothing's making it not be real, nothing needs to be something to make it real or let it be real. It's, yes, it is real as it is always. So any effect that could happen in time is negated always is a pretty comprehensive statement. Yes? So just to say it again, what it is, the real is as it is always. It's not like the real was as it will be when you find out. It's the real is as it is always. Yeah. How to realize it? He's given us the big gift. He's just made it very simple. How to realize the real is as it is always. Yes, how to realize it. All that is required is this. All is a comprehensive. So he used always and all, which are comprehensive. Yes, all doesn't exclude anything. Yes, always. There's no time that's not included in always. Yes, no matter if 50 years in the future or 10 years in the past, always is always. Yeah, everything is in always, and everything is here. Uh, all that is required is this. We have realized the unreal. What do you think we're doing now? It is false to speak of realization. What is there to realize? The real is as it is always. How to realize it? All that is required is this. All that is required is this. We have realized the unreal. How did we do that? by seeing the unreal from the real. Instead of looking from the unreal, trying to find a real, we're seeing the unreal, looking for the real as the unreal. Yeah. And what it's using is real, not the country, Israel. Is real. Yeah. I'll do it again. It is false to speak of realization. Why? Why? Because realization is always realized. Yeah. So to speak of it may be implying that it's not always realized and it's something that can be realized. But his statement is it is false to speak of realization. What is there to realize? The real is as it is always. So what is there to realize? The real is as it is always. So we're not going to realize what's real. We're going to realize what's not real. Why? Because we are real. We are the reality. No matter how clothed or weighted or how many appendages you seem to have or this or that, you are, before all of this manufacturing, you are that, yeah, reality. Yeah. And now the only requirement is not to realize that, is to realize the unreal. So we are talking about where we used to look from so that we can see it, be aware of, and that would fall under the category of seeing the unreal from the real. That's what's happening in satsang. Yeah. And from this great master, it says this is the only requirement. I think it's a very incredible way to share it in satsang. I think it is a beautiful way to do what the only thing that is required to do is let's talk about what we used to think was real and see it as unreal. Yeah. So that we can be relieved of its reality. Yes. Where its reality, everything is a big problem and a big design and a big thing. In its reality, the ends justifies the means. We're not a mean, we're the end. I'm looking out for me, this thing. Yeah. Yeah. And and what holds any position is interest and attention. Yeah. And the interest and attention has been moored for quite a while in this idea that you are this non-existent thing. When that is broken, you're that harbor that you've been stuck in, the anchor, it's get freed, yes, and you start traveling lighter than ever before, with no thought or effort on your part. You're just observing it. Yeah, yeah. So I feel like we're following the directions perfectly right now. I do. We don't usually talk about the unreal as real. We talk about the unreal as unreal. I think we're pretty fucking consistent with that. 30 years or something. Yes. Just keep holding that thing. And then what can hold that thing is the unreal. So when it flies away, you recognize it wasn't you. It isn't you. Yeah. So if you get the message, what's looking is what you're looking for, there's going to be something that doesn't get that message that you're calling a part of you because it will keep looking for it. It will. Yeah. And so you can recognize its boganness from reality. From this reality, you can see what you're not. And you're doing exactly as Ramana said. The only requirement is to see the unreal from the real. And therefore, we are doing just that. Yes. So humbly, I feel like we're following the essence of this message. Now, he's talked about a lot of things with a lot of people, but I'm just going to, I did not look for these statements. I found them, or they found me. I've never read everything Ramana uttered or anything. I've never read everything anyone uttered. Yeah. So these things rolled over, fell on my head. I take them to be valuable, and I'm just passing it on. And it seems like we fit the requirement that was given. Let's just go over this. Let's say, all right, if you're a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout or something, let's even. Okay, so it says here, it is false to speak of realization. Do we speak of realization much? Ah, very nice. Thank you. What is there to realize? Yes, that's why. The real is as it is always. Okay, I'm all for that. Yeah, so we're going pretty good. I think this is the backbone of our satsangs. I do. So we're moving from the lumbar to the cervical. Yeah. Follow me. See if we need any spiritual chiropractic work. I don't think so. So the real, all right. So what is there to realize? The real is as it is always. Okay. That puts out that fucking imaginary fire. All right. How to realize it? Oh, okay. How? This is when you want to go to your Google tutorials or something like that. Change the spark plug or something. How? All right. How to realize it? All right. Yeah. How? All that is required is this. And then you see the truth of it because the video is about 15 seconds. All that is required is this. We have realized the unreal. Now he said tons of things, but in this statement, as it was translated, he has the real is as it is always. The only requirement is very specific. There's always and only. Only requirement would mean there's only one requirement, right? Only if there's any requirement at all, it's only one. And the one requirement is what? Not preparatory shit, not yet. It is to see the unreal from the real, or the see the. Here it is. I'm going to say exactly how they translate it. We have realized the unreal. That is the only realization that's needed, is to realize the unreality. That's all. Why? Because the reality is always realized. Yeah. And there's only one requirement, and that is doing just that. Yeah. Because the head is constantly regarding as the real that which is unreal. That's what the head does. This is a program. It's not going to fucking change. It is always going to regard the unreal as the real. Get over it. Yeah, it's not going to work. So do as much as you want. It will say it, but it ain't gonna. It can't live it. Yeah. So this message is so beautiful because when you hear the message "Be still," you'll see a lot of shit can't. Yeah. And a lot of the shit that can't, when it moves, it's giving the sense of being you, and that's going to be taken back. Yeah. That energy and interest and attention that would go to further that aim, that end, to further the end of you, will be relieved of that fucking made up duty and will probably enrich your day. Yeah. Yeah. There's awake and then there's awake. We're all awake. And here you can seem to be asleep to that, or you can be awake to that. And because it's here, there can be awake and there can be awake. Yeah. Yeah. Like after every satsang, food tastes unbelievable. Yeah. The senses get heightened like that. No one does it. It's just there. You're at this event. I bet you it happens with people here. Your hearing's crisper, everything. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the awakeness becomes, let's say, more obvious. Yes. Yes, that's all. Yeah. So you know you're onto something. And what are you onto? Follow this simple thing. Yeah. Yeah. Listen to a description of what you're not and hear it as what you are. There you go. And then there'll be a distance that wasn't available between you and what you're not. Yeah. And then it can go on its merry way. And without knowing it, being blessed by that separation, it'll probably travel lighter as Paul. Yeah. And isn't the day mostly about Paul? But the day, just like yesterday, disappears completely. And Paul disappears completely every day. Yeah. And all the meaning Paul had about things disappears every fucking day. The etch a sketch is open and space and a void. It can, all the lines and everything don't take up any space in it. You just shake it and it disappears and disappears and disappears. Yeah. And while we seem to appear, we have meaning and emphasis, and I'm looking for that, and I'd want to stay away from this. And I was digging a hole and I hit the water thing and a giant fucking, like Old Faithful geysering out, and had to go see my neighbor to help me dig out the fucking thing and turn off the water and stuff. Had a lot of meaning when it was happening, but just like my shoe was wet, but now it's dry. I didn't try to make it dry. I just been wearing it. I was wearing it wet and then it dried out. Yeah. How did that happen? So, this is yeah. Uh, yeah. I just rest the case. There you go. I do not believe there's any process that can beat this process, this mental process of selfing. Do not. Haven't seen one. You can watch when people try to practice mindfulness and then they trip over something. Fuck that, immediately. It's the sense, the condition of mindfulness is after. It's being attempted to be produced. It's an after, and there's a whole lot of shit that can happen before it that will flip it out. Yeah, but there is a before that has no before. Yeah, I believe we are made of that. We are of that. I would say that is reality. A before that has no before. Yeah, all it has is after here. Yeah. And I believe as we appear, we're a part of the after. Yeah. And the after cannot travel to the before. It's it's destined to appear in front of the camera, never behind the camera. Yeah. You are always going to be seen. Yeah. Yeah. You're what is you're aware of, you are not the awareness. Yeah. Most of the day, you're aware of the thing, Paul running around. Yes. But Paul is not aware. Paul is just mechanical, doing the same shit he did 50 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone? It's getting darker in the room. All right. You can see? Yes. Anyone wants to share? Who's running this show today? Anyway.
Well, hey, Paul, it's
Oh, Shan.
Sharon here. Kathleen's in Ireland now, so
Oh, that's a relief. I could feel some heaviness lifted. I didn't understand why. Oh, she's in Ireland. That's good. Hopefully she's going to meet Jesse over there. Yeah, yeah. Well, tell her we said hello. I knew she
sounds
was
good.
going. I didn't know she's there. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't see any hands up here.
All
Um,
right, then we'll start saying goodbye. We have some people here, and uh, we just put on some light so you can see the unreal clearer. Yeah. The only light in a room's going to reveal is the unreal. Yeah. Ooh, I look really bad. Keep the light low. Yeah. All right. David, as always, nice to see you. I'm happy we're in this little journey together, brother. Yes. Yes. Traveling lighter in Aussie, traveling light here. Yes. We got Kerry, our man in Hawaii. Nice to see you, Kerry, as always. Anew? Anew. I was at a thrift store today and I found a shirt that had a new on it. And I was thinking of buying it, but it's not anywhere comparable to the real Anu. So I forego that, and you appeared. Yeah.
Paul, how are you?
How am I? Good. Good. Yeah. I actually don't know. Don't know. I don't know how anything's going really. Ali, my man with the knee. Ali took our suggestion and watched Bloodline. Wow. It helped me with 2 knee operations. I thought it would be helpful, huh? Yeah. Stephen Mack, as always, having never left. That's one of the greatest statements. I love that. It comes from well, this thing's been translated a lot. I saw it on a yoga studio wall, which was gone, gone, gone to the other shore, uh, upon arriving on having never left. Yes. I really thought that was cool. Yeah. All right. We got Jim Elliott. There he is, stationed in Bondi Beach. Keep an eye out for me, bro. Yeah. Judy Love. Nice to see you. Morrow. Yes. Gary Clark. I was up there, Gary. I was hoping you would check out the website, but you didn't. I was in Auburn about a month ago. You didn't miss anything though. It was good. Next time I'll get your number and call you. Diona Fuzon. You're up and about now. First you were horizontal, then you got semi-vertical. Now yeah. James Olson. Eli, nice to see you, Eli. William Stamps, our man in Woodside, Queens. Yeah. At the last day, if there's ever an Armageddon, we're going to send you a helicopter, William, and we're gonna take you out of Woodside. Yeah, yeah. David Lowe, nice to see you. Steve, nice to see you. We got Susan Harris. Nice to see Susan. We got Mr. Eric holding down Vista. Mike G is moving his thumb around whatever. I don't know. I can't get to the other page. Hey, thank you, everyone. Nice to see you anew, everyone. We'll be here
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Paul.
Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow. I hope. If I'm not here, there'll be an announcement. Yeah. Yeah.